Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming to our webinar today. We'll be doing a deep dive on Instagram, and so we'll be going over the profiles, going over the settings, going over different insights, analytics, and just getting a hang on what all that means and where all of that stuff is and what that looks like. Before we start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Alyssa, and just a little bit about me. I develop on-brand content strategies for different clients, and I help work with daily posting on their social media accounts. I've also done some live streaming for different business events, kind of like webinars and a few other things. I have a background in psychology, and some of my hobbies are cooking, traveling, and photography. And next to me, we have Mako. And if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. So my name is Mako. I am the junior web designer here at Poma Marketing. So along with designing websites for clients, I also manage social accounts at Poma Marketing, and I also have some background in event services and catering as well. And I am a WSU grad, so go Cougs. And just for fun, some of my hobbies include cooking and training dogs, and I love interior design. So yeah.
Nice. Cool. Our heart is to also provide you with the different tools to help enhance your overall marketing strategy and help you navigate through these different interfaces and platforms like Instagram. And this is our agenda for today. We'll be going over some basics. We'll be going over hashtags, insights, how to post, the different kinds of posting, along with ads and some Facebook integration stuff.
Okay, so this is the first thing that will come up once you pull up Instagram. So this is your Instagram homepage. First, you'll see all of these posts. These are the posts from all of your followers. And if you scroll down, you'll see some suggested accounts as well based on the people you follow and things you look at. So Instagram will suggest those things for you. You scroll up, you will see your stories. So you can see me scrolling up top. These are your stories that people post on here. And the thing about stories is that they only last 24 hours and then they get erased. And then so if you look up top, to the plus icon. This is where you will post any photos and videos and things like that. And then the heart icon next to it is all of your activities. So these will be if anyone likes a post, comments on it, any followers you get, you'll be able to see all of your activities in here. Right, and then last icon is your private messages. So any messages that you get from others, and you can also send messages, and this is a message that no one else can see but you. So if you go back, and then on the bottom icons, we'll go over to the magnifying glass. So these are all of your posts that are pretty much suggested for you. So this is a great way to discover new content and new accounts. And then it's also categorized by IGTV, architecture, decor, style, and then you can also search any hashtag accounts and things like that up top. And then, so in the middle icon is your reels. So that's pretty much kind of like what you see on TikTok, really short snapshot videos that people post on there. And then we've got the shopping icon. So this is where you can shop on Instagram. And then you've got, click up top, your wish list, orders, payment, shopping activities, things like that. And then if you go over to the right icon, which will be your profile. So this will be all of your posts and videos that you've already posted on here will show up. And then if you see the little TV icon, you can click on that. These are your IGTVs. So these are your videos that are longer than, I believe, a minute will all get filtered in here. And then the next one will be the photos that you get tagged in. And so got that. And then up top, you can see your suggested highlights. So these are your stories that have already been posted. So like I said earlier, they get deleted after 24 hours. And then a cool thing about it is that you can actually save the stories that you've already posted and put it in your highlights. So if you have a story that was really popular, you got a lot of engagements, you can go ahead and post that onto your highlights, and it doesn't actually get deleted. So people can go ahead and look back on that, which is really cool. So then you can go over to edit profile. There you can change your profile picture, your name, your username. Generally, you want to pick a username that's your company name, things like that. And if you have a website, I would recommend putting that in there because it's easier just to click on to your website URL instead of having to Google you. So just for convenience, just to have that on there is really nice. And then put in a short little bio in there that represents who you are as a company, what you do, what you serve. And then you have your profile information, so your pages. Oops, sorry. You got your categories, so you can actually change your category based on what your business is. Maybe you're a clothing brand, maybe you're a blogger, a restaurant, and you can pick your categories on here. And then you can actually choose to have that displayed, or you can also hide it on your profile. So as you can see here, we have our showing as digital creator on here, but you can also choose to hide that. All right, so then lastly, we have the action button. So maybe you offer services or food. You can have like a little call to action button where you can order food, book now, reserve, and it kind of gives users an extra step to take. And it's really convenient just to have that button show up on your profile.
Moving on to the insights, when you click it over here, you get a pretty good overview of how your profile and your pages and your posts are performing. So what we like to do is we'd like to change it to a 30-day view instead of a 7-day view because you get to see a broader, overview on how things are actually performing because things can change over a week. One thing Instagram doesn't do, however, is they actually don't show you a lot of historical data right off the bat. It's a little tricky to find, and so getting a third party to help you access anything from a year to 2 years ago, that's how you'd be accessing that. But a 30-day overview is still pretty good. In the top corner up here, it's a little eye. That's where you can get all of the different definitions for these terms that I'll be saying throughout explaining the insights and the analytics. So for example, overview, it says that the insights help display your account reach, content interactions, your total follower count, and the content that you shared. And that's really handy. It's always nice to refer back, make sure that you're understanding, what means what, and being able to navigate it through it really well. So if we go to overview and we click on accounts reached, we can see how many accounts we've reached within the past 30 days and also see when we reached those accounts. And so if we kind of look over here on this little line chart over here, you can see that we reached 2 between May 2nd and the 9th, and then a little after the 23rd, we reached another one, and that's actually pretty cool. Looking at impressions, you can see how many impressions your posts have gotten and everything like that. How many people have made a visit to your profile, and this one says 7 in the past 30 days, which is really cool. In your audience, you get a good follower breakdown of how many follows, how many unfollows you've gotten within the 30-day period. And you can see it in a nice little chart of when they unfollowed you and when they followed you. If you tap on that chart, you see all the different colors, and it's color-coded up there. And so we got some unfollows early May, and then we got another follow right over here. And you can drag it over and see what those numbers looked like over time. Another cool feature is you can see where a lot of your followers are located. And so with this being the Pullman Lifestyle account, you can see that majority of the followers come from Pullman, and their age range between men and women, or if you want to see just women or you want just men, all of that combined. You get a nice little pie chart showing a different breakdown of men to women and that ratio and what that looks like. My favorite feature, though, is on the bottom here, because you can see when your followers are most active. So when they're on the platform the most, the trend seems to be about 6 p.m., which is usually when you're off of work and it's, you're either waiting for dinner or you just had dinner and you're relaxing and decompressing for the day. So then why not scroll through your phone and go on some social media? And you can see that breakdown here, and you can see the numbers from your followers and everything. You can also go by day and see what days they're most active as well, which is really nice, because then that can help you decide if posting every day is worth it or not, or maybe if just posting on those peak days are better. And that's always really good. In the content you shared section on the bottom right here, when you click it, you can see what posts, photos, or videos have performed really well within the past year, 2 years, 30 days. You can change it between any photos or videos or a carousel post. A carousel post is when you do up to 10 photos in a single post. And I'll talk about that a little after. And then you can select your metrics. So what posts got the most comments on it? And then you can see that the post with Boba got more comments than a few others. You can also look at which post had the most likes. It's the one with the burger, and it's 42 and rising. And this is also a carousel post right here. As you can see, there's multiple photos in that one post that we have. And the same thing goes for your IGTV, for any other photos or videos or stories posting that you do. All right, so we'll move on to how to post and the different kinds of posting that you can do. So Mako showed us over here with that little plus sign. You can go right here and select post, and we'll start with a photo. So if you look, this photo doesn't necessarily fully fit in that perfect square that Instagram has set. So you have two options on how you can fix that. You can click the little arrows on the bottom and you can resize it, or you can use your fingers and you can zoom in and zoom out. And this gives you a bit more freedom to zoom in on a specific spot. I'll also show you with this one right here, because this photo is mostly a portrait, and this one as well. So you can fiddle with that a little bit. These photos are in portrait as well, and you can just kind of see how it resizes and fits. So if you want the entire sky in your photo, you can do that, or if you just want some of the trees and the bushes that were outside, you can do that too. And the same thing goes for videos. So if you look this video over here, it's in a landscape and it fits that very wide shot, but if I wanted it just in a square, I could do that too, and I could resize it there. And it's a handy little trick just to make sure you don't crop out any of the important things, or if you want to try to fit as much as you can into that one shot, that's one thing you can do. But if you have multiple photos that you want that's all from the same spot or in the same thing, you can also just click that little button that I did right here, right there on the bottom right, and you can click up to 10 images. And then you can also throw in a video. And with that, that'll put it all into one post with one caption, all your hashtags, and that is a really nice way to kind of keep everything together. And it's another kind of metric that the analytics can kind of follow, where it's like, oh, okay, out of your 10 posts, which one did more people interact with? And that's a really helpful feature too, to gauge what people are like and what they don't. I also want to leave a note that with videos, if anything is over a minute long, it'll filter into your IGTV videos, and it doesn't disappear from your profile like Mako showed you. It's right here in the middle. And it just kind of puts it in a fun little block series for you where you can give it a title and a description. And so that's also another kind of posting you can do. You can do your Instagram TV series if you'd like, and you can give brief previews of it, of the video itself on your actual feed. So it'll show in both areas. And these are your stories. I'm going to flip the camera. So if you want to post a story, just a reminder that those are up for only 24 hours. And so the moment that those 24 hours are up, your posting it'll disappear from your stories in your sections, but you can save it and filter it into a highlight and save that on your profile for as long as you want it there. Your next option is you can go to Reels, and Reels is very similar to TikTok in where you can record your videos in like segments and put music over it, follow any dance trends that are happening, all of that good fun stuff. And you can also go live on your profile as well if that's something you'd like to do. And all of those features, those are all different kinds of posting you can do. Explore it, have fun with it, the options and your everything is just very endless in that area. Moving on, when we go over to the settings, you'll just click that menu bar right there, and you'll be given some options. You can look at your settings, your archives, your insights. Again, that's another shortcut there. Your activity, you can access a QR code, and a few other things that we'll touch on after. But if we touch settings, you get taken to this next page, which allows you to follow and invite friends, whether that's through a link or it's through sharing your username. It'll show you all those different options and opportunities to share your profile and invite your friends to join Instagram as well. When you look at your activity, that'll just show you how much time you've spent on the platform. So right now, as of today, I've spent about 43 minutes on Instagram. And that's a good gauge. It can show you how much time you're investing into the app and everything like that. You can set a reminder, which will tell you like, hey, when there are 25 minutes before my set time, if I want to spend 5 hours on the app a day, when there's 25 minutes left of my time, you can set that boundary there so it notifies you. You're like, okay, I have 25 minutes to finish whatever else I gotta do. And you can fiddle with the notification settings too. You can choose to pause all of those notifications that'll come in after your 5 hours are up, or only in certain areas, like if you want to, if you want to turn off your notifications for all your likes in total so you don't hear your phone ding or light up every time someone likes something after a certain point, you can do that. And the same thing goes for your comments and for photos that you've been tagged in, and on any other interactions and stories and things that you do. Any way that someone can interact with your profile, you can fiddle with those settings and have them either turn off completely or have it set to only the people that you follow, or you don't mind and you're just going to let all those notifications come in from everyone at all angles if you'd like to. That's another option that you have. So getting out of that section, and we go over to your notifications, it'll take you to that same spot. It's just a quicker way to get there instead of clicking a couple times. but you can still change those settings overall and have it so that you only get, you know, notifications about any comments or likes from the people you follow. Or you'll always get notified when you have a new follower. You'll always get notified when someone accepts a follow request if they're on a private profile, or you can turn that off too if you'd like. And then if someone mentions you in their bio, which is basically when they use the @ sign and they put your username right there, if someone mentions you there, you can have that off. You can have it only from people that you follow, or you can have notifications for when everyone does it, no matter if you're following them or not. So that's a really helpful feature. The next bit is the creator section. And so this is a creator profile, and through that I can manage different payments. So if I have a card that I'd like to associate with the account to allow me to pay for any ads or buy anything on the app, or when someone buys something from me on the app, that card being linked to your account makes that a lot easier, and it helps with a lot of different things. Branded content is your business partner tagging, and so you can have it set to where you manually approve those tags. So anyone who would tag you in any branded content, like posts and stories and stuff like that, you have that opportunity to be like, I want to approve each and every one, or you can have it turned off. And then when you do that, anyone can tag you in anything, and that's what that'll mean. You can also view if you have any pending tag requests that are coming up, which is really good. And underneath the business partner tagging, you have the ad creation access, where you can look at any ads that you have running from your business partners, that you can go through and review and approve, and it'll follow you through those prompts. The next bit is saved replies, and I really like this feature because it's like your frequently asked questions, but on your profile. And so, for example, if I were a retail store and I sold clothing, something with clothing is everyone seems to ask questions about sizing. Well, having the saved reply helps eliminate the process of you going to each person asking about sizes and if it's accurate, or what is it comparable to, how can I find out more. You can take that and you can create a shortcut, and so every time someone says something like size, you set a message that'll reply automatically and have it say something along the lines of, our sizing is very accurate, and if you want more information, you can look at our size chart and our measurements on the website, or you can look in our highlights that talks about sizing. Your opportunities there are pretty endless, and it still gives that customer service feel where you're actively replying to them. The only difference is it's just automatically happening, and but it's still a response from you, and that's still good, and you're still able to keep that good, happy customer service stuff going. Next is minimum age. So with your minimum age settings, that's just if anything that you post, you don't want anyone younger than a certain age to see. So you can set a minimum age for 18, and so those who are on the platform and are 18 and older will be allowed to see your content. Anyone younger than that wouldn't be allowed to. And you can set that in different countries as well. For example, you could have people in America that are 21 and up allowed to see your content, whatever it is that you're posting. But people in Canada who are 19 years and older, they can see your content. But anyone younger than 19 in Canada and 21 in the US won't be allowed to see any of your content. And that's a security measure that you can take for your profile as well. It's there if you would like to use it, and it's another feature. So moving on, we'll talk about privacy. As a creator account, you are unable to put your account on private, which just means that anyone can follow you if they hit the follow button. There's not really approval or request setting that happens for your profile specifically, but it's there for your personal ones if you'd like to set your personal account on private. The interactions right here, it just helps you manage who can you receive comments from. Do you want comments from everyone? Do you only want to allow comments from your followers? Or do you need to block some comments from some people? That's another feature that they have. And outside of blocking comments, do you need to or do you want to hide any offensive comments or anything that you would feel is offensive? You can input some keywords in there, and any comments that come through with those specific keywords won't be shown. And so that's another feature that they have over there for you. In your posts, you can choose to allow tags from anyone or from only the people that you're following. And a tag is when you're posting the photo, like how I showed you earlier. If someone was like, oh, I was at the store today and I really want to tag that shop. Well, then you would go and you would follow through and add that person into your post. And so you would get tagged on that specific image. And you can choose to have no one allowed to let no one tag you in things, or have everyone or only those you follow in that. But if you don't know and you're unsure and you're like, I don't know if I want everyone to tag me in things, you can also turn on the setting that allows you to manually approve those tags. So you can allow it from everyone, but if you don't want a certain account to tag you in things and they do, you can say, no, don't let this show on my profile. I don't want this tag up, anything like that. And if a brand wants to request to feature your photos or anything that you've posted, instead of allowing them to do it automatically, you can actually have it be so that they send a request into you first. So that way, you can approve it and say, yes, you can use the photo, or no, you can't. It's a good way to protect the things that you've posted and other stuff like that. In your mentions, that's where they use the @ sign and they put your username in like comments or on their stories or in their captions or anything like that. You can allow it from everyone, only people you follow, or from no one at all. And you'll find that a lot of those settings that have to do with how people interact with you, it is a lot of no one, only people I follow, or everyone. And so that kind of helps gauge what you do and don't want to allow. Reels, when we talk about Reels, there's a feature called remixing, where it's similar to a duet on TikTok, where you have your video playing on one side and then you have their video playing on another, and that's how someone remixes your video. And if you want to let people do that when you post a reel, you leave this setting on. If not, you turn it off and you say, no, I don't want anyone to remix my stuff. You can have your guides, which is where if you're like the Pullman Lifestyle account and you go around the town and you take pictures in different areas at different places, if you have that guide setting on, people are allowed to take your post and say, yeah, I want to add this into the guide because that's a good photo of this restaurant or this park. And that helps people navigate through the area, which is really cool. Your activity status is just something that tells your followers whether or not you're on the app and online and interacting with people. And so if it's on, then your followers who want to send you a message are like, oh, they're online right now. Let me send them my question, or, interact with them a little bit and, have a conversation. If you're offline, then they'll know like, oh, okay, not right now. Or they'll get back to me when they are online again. And then the messages thing on the bottom, that is related to Facebook messages and how those two platforms would work together there. On this bottom section that says connections, we talk about, it shows you the different kinds of accounts that you have, so whether they're restricted, blocked, or muted. And each of those three are kind of like different levels and do different things. So a restricted account is when you don't necessarily block or unfollow a person. You just get to kind of have that barrier, and so they won't see your stuff and you won't see theirs. A blocked account is when that profile isn't allowed to follow you at all. Someone else's, you don't follow them, they don't follow you, and they won't be able to see any of the things that you post, and it's almost as if your account doesn't necessarily exist, and their account back to you as well. They don't show up at all in any of your feeds. A muted account is kind of what it sounds like, where when you mute an account, you just won't get any notifications from them. And so you won't see if they comment on anything, you won't see if they like any of your posts, or, if they share anything. That's what a muted account is. Moving on to the security settings, this is where you can change things like your password. If you want to save your login information, if you're not the best at remembering passwords like me, or you make them super complicated and there's a lot to them, you can also just have it automatically save that so that you just log in every time you enter the app. You can monitor login activity and just see, oh, well, I'm in Pullman and I'm logging in Pullman. And, make sure that no one from Seattle or anyone from like California isn't logging into the account. And you can just watch and monitor and be like, yes, this was me. No, this wasn't me. Something happened. Maybe I need to change my password. And you can get those notifications too as well. You'll get it on your phone and in your email. Then moving on, you can set up a 2-factor authentication where you'll get an extra code as you're logging in to enhance your security and just make your overall account more safe and secure for you and whoever else might have access to it that you give permission to. Emails from Instagram, that's where if something like, a login from a different area has come in, and if you get that email and you're like, I don't know if this is from Instagram, well, you can cross-check that in this section and be like, okay, they did send me that email. That's Instagram. No, that wasn't me. And follow the prompts from there if you'd like. This next bit, access data, download data. That's where you can see the changes you've made to your account. How many times have you changed your username? How many times have you, changed your password, or even like your profile images, just different things that you do on your profile in the back end that change over time. That's the little bit of historical data that you get. And you can also clear your search history if it's getting too crowded and maybe your For You page gets a little different. It's not stuff that is really necessarily for you. You can clear that and then kind of have a blank slate there. Promotion and payments is that same window that we had earlier, where you can add a credit card to your account and that'll let you pay for ads. You can track your transaction history. You can set a spending limit on your account if you need that too. Any billing controls where, if you want to make sure you're not being billed every single day or, every week, you can change it so it's like a monthly thing or whatever those settings look like for you and whatever you're most comfortable with. Moving on to the ads, we'll have your ad preferences and ad topics. So what things work for you? What things do you not want to see? If you don't want to see any ads about we'll do social issues, elections or politics or alcohol, you can select those and you'll receive less ads in that area. And that'll be it for the ad section. The account, that's where your personal information is saved. So your name, your phone number, the email that you use to create the account, that's all there. And then you can see if you've saved any posts in here. It's also on the main menu, but it's here as well. Look at any fundraisers. You can create a close friends list. So if out of your 100 followers, you only want 10 to see something, you can set up that close friends list and only those 10 followers will see whatever it is that you post to them. and you can view any of the posts that you've liked or anything that you may have deleted recently, whether it be on accident or on purpose, and any branded content tools. And that's the most that you'll need in the account settings. Everything else on the bottom here is just kind of that general settings and information that gets provided to you. So if we go back to the menu, I just left and I clicked on those 3 bars in the top right. We go back to the menu, we went through our settings, and so we can talk about archives and everything else on the bottom. So your archive posts is when maybe there's a post that you sent out accidentally, or if your story expired, you can go to your archives and it'll have it saved there, and you can refer back to it and say, oh, okay, well, when I went here and posted that, I really like that. And you can take it, repost it, or filter it into a highlight. Since especially if you didn't start making highlights until recently, you can have that setting turned on to save your stories into your archives along with any posts or any live events that you've done. There's your insights. We just went over that, but there's that shortcut to get there too. Your activity, that's again how long you've been on the app for the day. And then you can look at your QR code. It's a fun, quick way to share your profile to someone. And when they say, hey, I want to follow you on Instagram, what's your username? And, sometimes it's easier to show them your QR code than it is to spell out your entire username for them. And you can give it a cute little emoji background if you want to. That's a cute feature. I really like that. And so that's another option that you have when sharing your profile to people, which is really cool. And over here, we have our saved posts section. And so for me, with helping different clients, post and do brand strategy and everything like that, to get ideas, or even if there are like different tips and helpful things that come up on my feed, I like to save those posts. It's faster and it's easier than sorting through all your posts that you've liked, because if you spend enough time on the platform, you end up liking a bunch of things in a series. And so you can create a collection and then name the collection whatever you'd like. I named this one brand stuff, and then I would save anything that's related to brands into the brand stuff collection, and then that's an easier way to find it as I go through the profile. Moving on, you'll have your cart, and that's where you can access the things that you've bought, things that you're thinking about buying. It's another shortcut to Instagram Shop. Again, orders and payments underneath cart, that's just where you add your card. That's where you would track any orders that are coming in or leaving from you, making sure your transactions and everything is running smoothly there. Then you have your close friends list. You can find other people, and then some COVID information there on the bottom. And so that's the menu bar, that's your settings. There was a lot that I had gone over. Does anyone have any questions before we shift to hashtags? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so hashtags. Hashtags are really fun and really useful for your account, for your post. So you might already be familiar with hashtags, or maybe have seen them before on Instagram or other social media platforms. But basically they are the pound signal, where people would use keywords and phrases and put them in their post. And ultimately, it boosts engagement. And so basically how hashtags work is they categorize and organize photos and videos on Instagram. And then choosing the right hashtag is very, very important, because it can put you in front of the right audience, even those you've never even connected with before. So I'm going to go over kind of how you do hashtag research, and kind of how you can use it for your account and for your posts. So we're going to go over to the magnifying glass icon on the bottom. We're going to do the search bar, and then say you are in the Palouse, you have business here, and you want to search up different posts in the Palouse. So we'll look up hashtag Palouse. Okay, we'll click on it, and then it will grab all of the photos where people have actually used this hashtag in their photos. So any hashtags that you use in your own account, your own post, they will grab it and then they will put it in those specific hashtags. So you can look at, so these are all the top photos, and then you can also look at the recents. So when it comes to hashtag research, we would recommend paying more attention to the top posts. So these are the posts with the highest engagements. So photos with more likes or comments and things like that. These are more popular posts. And then you can also see what kind of posts that people are posting, comments, and hashtags that they're using. And then on the very top, you'll notice that it says 87.4K posts, which means that over 87,000 people have made posts using this hashtag. So that's really, really important to note, because you kind of want to see how popular different hashtags are when you're deciding what kind of hashtags to use. So you can use hashtags that were more popular, that have thousands of posts already, or you can also use hashtags that are maybe not so common. And then you can use like a little bit of variety. So you can use hashtags that are more localized and more specific with not as many posts. And then you can also use branded hashtags as well. So for us, we could use hashtag Pullman Lifestyle, and they're more specific to us. And so people can kind of recognize that it's kind of like our hashtag that we use, and then it kind of encourages people to also use that hashtag as well. So another example could use, so if you, let's say you own a bakery business, you can search up hashtag bakery. And now this one has 18.5 million posts. So they can tell this hashtag is very, very popular. It's also very like a vague hashtag as well. So, you can kind of tell it's going to be a lot of posts. So you can kind of scroll through and see what kind of hashtags that other people are using. And sorry if I'm making you really hungry with all these photos now. But you can kind of get a general idea of what people are posting in here. So if you want to be a little bit more specific, you can say something like Seattle bakery. So Seattle bakery has 24,000 posts, which is a lot, significantly less than the 18.5 million. Yeah. And then you also have Seattle Baker, which is 13,000, or Seattle Bakeries, which is only 500 posts. So you can kind of see that difference and decipher what kind of hashtags you should be using. If you use hashtags that have like the 18 million posts, then if you use that hashtag, then your post might kind of get lost in the sea of posts that you'll get with that. And so
in the sea of baked goods.
Yes.
It's a good sea to get lost in.
So so it's a little bit harder to get noticed when there's so many people using that same exact hashtag. So using kind of a variety of some popular hashtag, less popular hashtags is recommended. So and kind of reiterating everything kind of that I said, it's important to do your hashtag research using this, and research your audience using keywords that maybe they would search for, and then researching your competitors. So you could maybe look at their top performing post and then highlight some of the hashtags that they're using and then see if they're applicable to you and your company, and then go ahead and make a list of hashtags that you could use for your own business. And little tips for hashtags as well. You can also put hashtags in your profile. So if you go back to our profile, you can actually see in our bio that we have hashtag Pullman Wall, hashtag Pullman Lifestyle. So you can actually put it in your bio, and it actually encourages or it promotes an Instagram community. So people can go ahead and click on that link on the hashtag, and it takes you to all these pictures on there as well, which is a really cool addition. And then another thing is that you can also put hashtags in your comment section instead of including them in your post. So another thing that a lot of people might do is they might put like 30 hashtags in a post, and it can kind of come off a little bit gimmicky, look a little bit untidy and not genuine. And so you want to come off genuine to your followers, and that it's not like a spam account. And so a way you would do that is you can post your photo or video and then put your caption in there as normal, post it, and then right as you post it, include all of your hashtags in your comment section. So it makes your post look a lot cleaner without compromising the benefits of using hashtags. So those are some quick tips, and hopefully you can use that for your own accounts and reap those benefits.
Yeah.
So I know that was a lot. So if you guys have any questions, please put that in the comment section and go ahead and answer that. Oh, I did forget to note that the maximum number of hashtags you can use is 30, but we would probably recommend using around 10 or less, just so it doesn't overcrowd your post.
As long as they're relevant to you and what you do in your business, 10 hashtags should be really good. And you can always interchange them as you test out your posting strategies and as you explore what's going to work for you and what doesn't. So next we'll have Preston briefly talk about ads and Facebook integration when it comes to Instagram.
Yeah. So very, very exciting stuff. Facebook integration is interesting, mainly because while Instagram is a very robust, very large platform, it's actually owned by Facebook. So for anything really that has to do with handling money in any degree or anything with an ads interface, it is done through the Facebook Business Manager. So business.facebook.com. It will basically route you on your way right back into Facebook's backend. So if you want to run an ad campaign, it will take you to the Facebook Ad Manager. Facebook does not have a local ads and campaign builder. And what we'd recommend too is when you are building campaigns and doing ad groups, there are various places that you can choose what platforms you're using, mainly Facebook, Instagram, or the Messenger. For best practice and best results that we've seen when you're building stuff, we would recommend keeping them all separate per platform so that whatever budget you allocate is allowed to just kind of go and do its very best on its own. So this is probably the shallowest part of the deep dive since it takes you off platform. But another thing to talk about is the Facebook Pixel. Again, like the Business Manager, everything as far as analytics outside of the insights, which very recently they cut down from a longer time frame to a max of 30 days. If you want a backlog of data, you're going to have to install a Facebook pixel. There's several ways to do it. Sometimes you're just copy and pasting a code. If you have something like a Google Tag Manager, you can install it through there or any other partner integrations. But basically, it acts as its own internal analytics platform. It's a little clunky, but it still is like, what are people doing? What are they introducing? And what are all these little factors that people are doing, like form fills, page visits, any specific actions, phone calls you want to take, that can be found in the Facebook pixel. But there's a lot more to, and there's a lot more technical items on this. So if you have any questions, we may decide to do this in a future video, but feel free to contact us, give us a call in the office, or if you have any back-end adjustment work, we would love to answer any of your questions and kind of sit down, because another thing about all of this is that it's very custom tailored and personalized. So we would love to find the custom solution for you. And with that, I will pass it back.
But like Preston said, if you guys have any questions, you can come on down, give us a call, or come visit us at the office, and we are more than happy to help you, figure anything out, answer your questions. But thank you guys so much for just coming in and joining us, listening to us talk about Instagram for about an hour. You will be able to find this webinar on our website and on our YouTube, with full transcriptions and everything like that. And you can also find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And we'll be posting stuff there, and you can just kind of follow along, get updates on any new events, webinars, anything that we have coming up. Otherwise, thank you guys so much, and it's been super great. So have a good rest of your day.